The silence between two souls was not empty, it was sacred. It was a whisper that heaven once made but earth could not translate. Eyes spoke when lips could not. Hearts echoed when the world forgot. She sat beneath the moonlight's trembling sigh. He rode through shadows, where dreams go to die. Between them stretched an invisible thread. Neither living nor gone, neither awake nor dead. The silence wasn't absence. It was breath between tears. A mirror of longing polished by years. Each heartbeat was a page the wind refused to turn. Each memory a candle that refused to burn. He watched her from afar, dressed in patience and grief. His crown heavy not with gold, but disbelief. The world bowed before him, but she never did. Her quiet was louder than all he forbid. She carried his name like a storm in her eyes, yet spoke it only when the moon would rise. He felt her presence through the pulse of night, a rhythm of sorrow beneath the light. O silence, cruel companion of the pure, you bind lovers tighter than words could ensure. You hide the scream behind the smile. You make the distance worth the trial. He wrote her name upon the wind's soft veil. The desert listened, the stars grew pale. For Fazza's heart, though fierce and free, fell captive to a quiet destiny. No song could sing what silence knew. No poet could write what love drew. Between them lingered a timeless prayer, made of longing, truth, and despair. She wept not loud, but her soul cried deep, while his dreams guarded what he couldn't keep. They met in thoughts, they met in dreams, where rivers of silence replaced the streams. He would see her shadow on palace walls, hear her laughter through marble halls. Each echo a dagger, each whisper a chain, binding his heart to beautiful pain. The silence became their only speech, a temple no mortal could reach. It lived in eyes, in breaths, in space, between each memory's trembling face. He wished he could break it, but feared to try, for silence is fragile as the sky. If shattered, love might fade away. So he let it live, day by day. She felt his tears though oceans apart, heard his heartbeats within her heart. Their silence was not hollow, it was full of all the words they couldn't pull. He rode his horse through dunes of thought, through every lesson pain had taught. The falcon above him circled wide, as if guarding secrets love must hide. Sometimes the wind would whisper her name, and his royal calm burst into flame. He would smile, then quickly turn away, lest the guards see his soul betray. She too, in her quiet chamber, dreamed of the prince whose love the moonlight beamed. Her tears fell soft, her breath grew thin, as silence drew her deeper in. They loved in a way that had no sound, where silence reigned, and truth was found. Not every bond needs words to be. Some are carved in eternity. He looked at dawn as if it wept, for the promises they never kept. And she looked at dusk as if it prayed, for the love that time delayed. The silence between them sang of fate, of promises too real, too late. It was neither joy nor despair. It was everything, everywhere. He spoke to the night, "Carry her voice." The wind replied, "You have no choice." For silence between two souls so deep is a promise both must keep. His poetry turned softer, his heart grew kind, but the silence haunted his royal mind. He would write of love, and the unseen, of what lies silent in between. Her letters, never written, still reached his throne, through thoughts that traveled when left alone. She never spoke his name aloud, yet he heard it whispered by every cloud. Their love was a tale the stars kept sealed, a wound too sacred to be healed. For silence guards what time betrays, and turns moments into endless days. He sometimes rode where no one knew, where her scent lingered, her laughter flew. The desert would shimmer like her face, and he would bow before that grace. She watched the moon and felt his gaze. Across the miles, through the haze, the silence hummed, it never slept. It grew like a promise they both kept. He said to his heart, "Endure, endure, for love that's silent is always pure." Words may falter, vows may fall. But silence, silence conquers all. When others asked, he smiled and lied. But within, the silence cried. For no one could see, nor understand, the language between her heart and his hand. Sometimes he'd close his eyes to feel the echo of her, painfully real. A warmth that never truly fades. A bond the universe forbids. She too would dream of his embrace, but wake to find only empty space. Still she'd smile, for silence stayed, like a ghost of love that never decayed.
The silence between two souls, so vast,
was not their prison, it was their past. It carried all they dared not say. It kept their fire from turning gray. O Fazza, the poet with royal tears, who wrote of love through endless years. His heart still speaks where words dissolve, in silence that even time can't solve. She, the muse, unseen yet near, spoke through silence, not through fear. Her soul became his secret song, played by the wind all night long. They are the silence that lovers know, the calm beneath the moon's soft glow. Not an end, but a sacred start, where two souls breathe through one heart.
He waits beneath a sky so wide,
for silence to bring her to his side. And she waits too, with unseen grace, for silence to lift its veil from her face.
The silence between two souls is divine.
It turns pain into sacred sign.
Where words may die, love will remain. In silence, pure, eternal, and
the
sane.
Silence between two souls began to glow, like embers beneath an endless snow. Though distance stretched and time conspired, their love endured, unexpired. He stood upon the dunes, the falcon high. His gaze was lost between earth and sky. The silence murmured through desert sand, as if carrying messages from her hand. Each grain that touched his palm would tell of moments where her spirit fell. He'd close his eyes, and she'd appear, her shadow carved from memory's tear. She too would wander through her dreams,
where silence shimmered like silver streams.
Every night she'd call his name, though her lips refused to play that game. It was not sadness, nor despair. It was sacred, it was rare.
For silence between true hearts aligned
is a language no man can define. He wrote verses that the world adored, but none could see what they implored. Behind each rhyme, her soul would gleam,
hidden within his royal dream.
At dawn, the palace glowed in gold, but Fazza's eyes looked worn and old. For kings may rule and poets write,
yet silence rules the heart at night.
She felt his sorrow through the breeze, a phantom touch that made her freeze. Each sigh he took, each tear he shed, she felt within her soul instead. They were apart, yet never gone.
Two stars bound by the same dawn.
Their silence was not void but song,
a melody soft, deep, and strong.
Sometimes the rain would fall too slow, and she would see his face below, reflected faint in puddles deep,
where silence rocked the world to sleep.
He'd watch the sky in patient pain, hoping the wind would call her name. For silence taught him what words conceal, that true love does not need to feel. It simply is, beyond all art.
A rhythm beating through the heart. He whispered softly to the night,
my silence burns, but feels so right. And she replied within her dream, silence is where our hearts redeem. For though the world could tear apart, the silence bound their tender hearts. Years flowed like rivers, calm and wide. Still silence never left their side. Through every joy, through every ache, it stayed, for both their sakes. He sometimes thought of meeting her eyes, but feared that magic's slow demise. For silence, once spoken, dies away. So he chose longing, and let it stay. Her life went on, but love stood still. A secret wound that time could not heal. Each letter unsent, each tear uncried, lived quietly, buried deep inside. He too smiled for the world to see, yet silence was his true decree. Behind his grace, behind his fame, echoed softly her sacred name. In royal halls where gold adorned, he felt her absence, sharp and mourned. Though crowned with stars, though praised by men, he longed for her voice again and again. The silence between two souls grew vast. But like an ocean, it forever lasts. Unseen, unfelt, yet deeply known. A kingdom where only hearts have grown. She sometimes prayed beneath the moon. That silence might break someday soon. But heaven smiled, and softly said, "Silence is where true love is fed." He dreamt of her beside a flame. She whispered gently his secret name. And though he woke in solitude's keep, her echo lulled his soul to sleep. He wondered if she thought of him still, beyond the mountains, calm and still. He felt her soul through every breeze, through shifting sands, through crying seas. The silence now became their fate, neither early, neither late. It carved their story in unseen light, a bond invisible to sight. He wrote, "Love speaks not but feels. In silence, every wound heals. The stars may fade, the seas may roar, but silence guards what hearts adore." Her heart replied though she never knew. That silence carried her message too. For across the heavens, soft and pure, love found a way to still endure. When pain became his only prayer, he'd look to skies and find her there. Not in form, not in sound, but in silence, deep and profound. She too found comfort in that space, where no goodbye could erase, where distance fell and time stood still, and silence whispered, "I always will." Their silence became a guiding flame, that burned without a name. It spoke in stars, in dew, in sighs, between their hearts, beneath the skies. He would write upon the desert air, lines of love beyond compare. And though no one could hear the tune, the silence played it beneath the moon. When the world was cruel and nights were long, he found in silence a place to belong. For only there her soul was near, only there could he draw her near. She watched the dawn, he watched the night. Their silence met in silver light. Across all distance, beyond all cries, it joined two souls where truth lies. No vow was made, no promise sworn, yet their hearts had never torn. For silence weaves a stronger thread than any words that could be said. He aged with grace, his poems grew wise, but sadness lingered in his eyes. For love unspoken still survives. In silence, it truly thrives. She aged too, her beauty deepened, her soul with quiet wisdom steepened. Each breath she took still called his name. In silence, always the same. They met again in heaven's dream, where silence turned to silver stream. Their souls embraced, the stars stood still. The silence broke, against their will. And in that moment pure and rare, love spoke aloud its first true prayer.
No need for words, no need for rhyme.
Their silence transcended time. He said, "I waited all these years." She smiled, "I spoke through all your tears." Their silence had been love's disguise. Now truth was glowing in their eyes. He took her hand, no sound, no plea, only peace, as deep as sea. And heaven bowed to see that sight. Two souls united in silent light.
Now silence sings where they once cried.
No distance now, no worlds divide.
For love that is silent never dies.
It turns to stars in endless skies. The silence between two souls became a symphony without a name. It filled the heavens, it kissed the earth, and gave new meanings to rebirth. Fazza's pen now rests in peace. His heart found its sweet release. For silence gave him all he sought, the love that words could not be taught. And she, the muse of endless grace, now lives within his poem's space. Each line he wrote, each sigh, each scroll, still whispers, two souls, one soul. Now silence reigns where they belong. It hums forever, soft and strong. A sacred echo, calm and deep, that binds two hearts in endless sleep. O silence, eternal flame of truth, you guard the love of age and youth. For in your stillness, pure and whole, lives forever, The silence between two souls.